Welcome to the Blueprints Podcast. I'm Isabelle Broidgam, Director of Sales and Marketing at Custom Built Designer Modeling, and I am joined by Michael Flory, founder, CEO, and of course, my dad. And today we are going to talk about something really exciting. We are in our 20th year of being around as a business, and maybe it's a little longer, but 20th official year of Custom Built.
Yeah.
And we're celebrating that. So I want to talk about the legacy. I want to talk about what got us here today. I mean, a lot of construction companies don't make it past the first 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy. And we're here in the 20th year.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
Well, Michael, how did we do it?
Well, I don't know how we did it, actually, it's to be a beautiful conversation. There's so much of life that, you start with a vision and you don't know where it's going. And I think this is we're going to go around some pretty big items today and kind of talking about this, celebrating 20 years of being in business. Really, I think probably the initial key of allowing us to get to 20 years has been a vision. There was a vision right out of the gate. There was a vision to build something bigger than me, build something that would require, I didn't know how much it was going to require of me to change. A lot of pain, a lot of challenge, a lot of growth over the years. But it started off with a vision. It started off with a belief of doing something big. And
I think just to pause there, because you got a little emotional. I think one of the reasons that you're emotional right now is because it's weighty. I mean, 20 years of a lot of stuff to get here today.
Yeah.
So much that we can and can't unpack, right?
When you sit down, E-Myth Revisited is a great business book. Went and signed up. I've always been a big proponent of I'm going to hire a coach. I'm going to hire a coach. We have a business coach still today. Along the way, I've had business coach, sales coaches, and you sign up for a program and you kind of get excited about it. We actually kind of bantered recently about this. We often think early on, it's like, let me sign up this program. And they actually, back in this days, it wasn't, 2006, they sent us a whole bunch of modules. And I remember getting the modules and there was 10 modules and there was 3 tracks that you had to get through with E-Myth Revisited. And they would kind of take you through all the disciplines of running a business. And they had all these little tools in there that you could do and how to build systems. And, it's called E-Myth Mastery if you want to check it out. But it was a pretty awesome program at that time. And I just remember there was the primary aim, they called it, the primary aim. You had to sit down and kind of write out what's your primary aim. And it was like a written out, detailed vision of what you're going to be in 10 years,
This is perfect. It sounds like right up your alley.
Yeah. So, here I am. I got 10 minutes to get this done because once I can get the vision done, I can move on to the next module and we can really start building the vision, we're in a hurry here,
Let's get her done.
But really kind of laying out for me and grappling with a lot of things. What do you, they would ask questions to kind of get you thinking, what do you want to be in your, when you die, what do you want people to say about you? Just kind of trying to dive in a little bit deeper to figure out what is inside of me and why am I doing this? And I'm telling you, it's still unfolding. More today than in my life than I've ever thought. I thought I thought I knew everything after 5 years. I thought the vision was clear. And, so we started with a vision. We started with a vision to have a company, kind of a franchise model is what we were thinking at the time. And, wanted to be 120 locations nationwide, didn't really necessarily have a revenue dollar. I don't know if we attached a revenue dollar to it. We'll have to see if I have a copy of that primary.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
At some point. But so yeah, that was the initial thing as a vision. And when you write something down and you make it and you share that vision, at that time we weren't as open book as we are now as an EOS run company. We share every quarter with our team where our numbers are. We share what our vision is. We talk about the 10-year picture. We talk about the 3-year goals. It wasn't as refined as that, but it was definitely a vision. And it's what got us started. So once I, kind of got out what the vision was, the reality was I was in survival mode.
Yeah.
Getting started. Many business owners, if you're an entrepreneur out there, you know what it's like to be starting a business, and you're trying to get customers, and once you get customers, now you're trying to hire somebody, and then putting on your marketing hat, and then you're getting back out and you're going to a BNI event or a home builders event.
And you worked so many hours back in the day. I mean, I remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You had a couple 100-hour weeks there.
More than a couple. I would say that's one of the items that we can hit on is that it is, and you talked about this in another podcast, but just grit. Like, if you're going to go into business, you better be ready to just face all of your fears, all of your shadow, all of your, anxiety and worries. And because at the end of the day, like, as an entrepreneur, and depending on all that's within you, I'm a first generation entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I don't have a beautiful, like, I'm second generation or I'm third generation, this was handed down to me kind of an operation. I come from really underground in a lot of ways. When I got started in this business, it was really default. We were going to be missionaries. I was going to a small Bible college. Your mom was, in med school at Michigan State. We were dropping money like crazy. $250,000 in debt when you came along, and we decided to forego med school. And that became my motivation. Like, how do I provide for my family? And along the way, the vision was born. And inside of me, there was it wasn't so much that I wanted to be in construction. It was that I wanted to impact lives. I wanted to inspire people to something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
And it really started with me. And it started with, I wanted to leave an impact in this world. I wanted to, build something beautiful.
And it's crazy to sit here today again, 20 years later. Like, there is so much momentum even right now. I think this year for our company is going to be one for the history books, just with all of the new opportunities. I
think last year was too.
Well, last year was, and this year.
Yeah.
And next year probably. But this year, I just think that it is the 20th year that we're celebrating. And there's some real weight in that. And there's real opportunities that come from that. And you're right. You didn't start building off of a different foundation. Like, you had to build your foundation for this business. And it's been challenging.
Well, as you're building a business, and the name of our podcast is called Blueprints, right?
Yeah, right. He goes, right. Isn't that what you named it?
Can I swear on the podcast?
No, you can't swear.
Oh, okay. We're in the building industry. We've built our business around design build, which means the word design is in our name, because we know that the design is everything's created twice. First in our mind, and second in the physical. When you get in business, there's no way to have a complete blueprint, because you don't even know who you are. You think you know who you are, but part of being in business is what I call, at this point in my life, both remembering and unfolding. We are on this journey in this life, and we're remembering, some people would say like identity, who we are. And as we're discovering that along the way, it's often in the pain and in the struggle and in the challenges where we just get to the end of ourselves. And then, do we have a big enough vision to keep going? And getting up at 4 a.m., drive into the office. I got 4 appointments. I got somebody coming in to sign a deal, and I'm up at 4 a.m. working on the design, putting together a scope of work, working from 4 till getting home at 8 or 9 or 10 some nights. on a regular basis, working all day on Saturday, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, I would be pretty consistently. We would try to take Sunday off, go to church and rest a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was, you know, the Great Recession happened in 2008, you know, right at the beginning of our business. So yeah, I mean, a lot of grit and a lot of pain and just pressing through and getting to the other side because you have this vision, because you have this idea that I'm going to build this thing. And
one of the things is it's always been greater than you. Like you've always had a vision, not for you to be the one that grows the most, or, you know, it's not about you. And I think that's why our business in a lot of ways has been successful. You're shaking your head a little bit. I know that there's some
we can push back on that point a little bit. You know, I think as, you know, I hit the second half of life, you know, as just celebrated my 50th birthday, you know, and,
1/3 of your life. Cause what's your goal again?
I'm 156. So
156.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 150. Okay.
150.
156.
150. Yeah.
In my card this year, I wrote to him, I was like, happy 1/3 of your life.
Yeah. Just turning 50 this year, and going through and realizing some of my motives, some of my greater, deeper desires down inside of me. And, you know, I've been doing a lot of deep work. You know, this business really kind of goes back to an early childhood trauma, you know, where, you know, I lost my parents to a brutal murder in my house where I was shot. Two of my siblings were shot. And I laid on a couch to die. And I can remember it like yesterday. And as a 49-year-old man last year, I got to go back and really start to do some work and work through some of that. So some of those deep, dark things. And some of the things that I have told myself in my subconscious, because that's what I had to do to survive back in 1986. 1987, 1988, 1989, 1990, like how I survived those first 4 years, those first 5 years, was I had to make up stories that, you know, that pain that I'm feeling deep down inside of me, I had to disassociate myself from that. I had to separate myself from whatever that was I was feeling, because if I felt all the grief that I was feeling at that time, or if I felt all the sadness, or if I felt all the anger, like I wouldn't be able to show up to school, you know, but I did. I showed up to school, and I, you know, and Matthew would love this because like he's a director, you know, he directs our episodes. If you haven't seen any of our HGTV style episodes, Chip and Joanna, you guys got to check them out. But like
the design
and remodeling show, you know, it's putting on a show. And I think in our lives, a lot of our lives is we are having to become something in order to survive. And so as a 50-year-old man now, I get to look back and start to work through some of those old, deep memories, and show up for myself in a way that I couldn't show up back then. So,
yeah.
So when I say that like, this has always been bigger than me, yes, it has been always bigger than me. I've had a vision bigger for me, but part of what I'm learning now at 50 years old is that the vision has to be for me too.
Yeah.
The vision has to be for you too. You know, if you're going to do something that's going to last, you have to fit into the picture. It can't be sacrifice everything to get something so that someday you'll have what you want, and, you know, everything else will work out.
So how does that look for you today? I mean, we're 20 years in, you are 50 years old, and you're talking about, yeah, the vision's bigger than me, but also I need to be in that vision. And I think that's really true, and something that a lot of people don't learn until later in life. So
yeah, I mean,
how are you doing that?
When you're young and you're having kids, I mean, we have 8 kids, you know, we had the Great Recession, you know, business was really difficult. I mean, beans and rice. I mean, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. You know, we had to go through times where I went through a season where I was on unemployment, just to keep a few people employed. And we talked to the accountant and found out that I could go on unemployment to collect, what is it, $1,000 a month or whatever, just so that we could get through maybe it was 2010 or 11, some really skinny times for us, Man, the level of shame that I had over that I had to go on unemployment and do that. If the government's listening and that was illegal, that was my accountant told me we could do it.
Oh gosh.
No, I'm just kidding. It was legitimate because I was out looking for work. I was out actively selling, actively trying to find the next job. And we were only on unemployment for maybe 3 or 4 months, enough time to just bridge the gap so that we could stay in business. And when I had that initial vision of 120 locations nationwide franchise model, I imagined all kinds of beautiful things, my family vacations, the Disney cruise vacations, and the mountain, the house in the mountains, the ranch, the ranch is still part of the vision, which was the ranch as a place for orphan children like me to go and get to experience the abundance of the mountains. I love the mountains.
Yeah, I think what you're saying about having a vision is so key to the growth and success. Yeah. So, again, back to the starting point, which is most construction companies don't make it to where we're at today. Like, how did we get here?
Yeah, you start with the vision, and then from there, it's just go out and start executing, go out and start trying stuff. As an entrepreneur, you get to go out and fail. Hopefully you're not too much of a perfectionist, because that'll probably kill you. I think entrepreneurs that get into an industry where they got to take a lot of risks and fail a lot, you just got to be willing to fail. You got to be willing to, I don't know Edison, how many times he failed on the light bulb, but it was hundreds, maybe thousands of times before he actually finally created the light bulb. Was it Thomas Edison?
Yeah, it was Thomas Edison.
Or was it Henry Ford? I can't remember. No, Henry Ford.
Yeah, Henry Ford. Henry Ford was the truck you drive.
150s. Henry Ford created the F-150. So
I was about to jump in there and say, and I think the perfectionist piece, I tend to be a perfectionist. Being the oldest kid, there's that stereotype. I live that through and through. If something isn't perfect, it drives me nuts. Nothing in life is perfect. So, I got to walk that path. But I do think you do need to learn how to be okay with failure, and the perfectionist piece is what allows you to keep going forward, because you're like, this is not quite right.
Yeah.
This is not as good as I want it to be or as it could be. Right. So it's like this double-edged sword with, you got to fail a lot to be in business, but also you tend to be a little bit of a perfectionist too.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of those moments.
Yeah. And I think a next thing that has to happen along the way there is it comes from a place of trust and delegation. So being able to delegate and get stuff off your plate. So as somebody that wants everything to be perfect, first of all, spending some time with yourself and finding out why you want everything to be perfect is a really important thing. We just say this kind of offhandedly, I'm a perfectionist. Well, a lot of times it's born out of fear. We're afraid the business is going to fail. So it's not so much that we're perfectionists, it's that we're trying to control everything because we don't want somebody to mess it up.
Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you hear that one?
Yeah. Okay. Come on. Yeah. I did hear that one loud and clear.
Yeah. So, the reality is if you're going to grow your business, I could have stayed myself and 2 guys and had a wonderful career. One of my early mentors, Rich Beard, shout out to Rich. He's an amazing craftsman, amazing entrepreneur. He can do everything in the business. He's kind of like Josh is in our business. He can design something, he can build it, he can put it all together. But that's not what I wanted. I wanted something bigger. And that kind of goes back to what you said. I wanted to have something bigger. Now, did I know that, 3 or 4 of my kids would be working in the business and you'd be the director of sales and marketing and, all of these things. As we celebrate 20 years, this is freaking cool, you guys. Can you even
you can't write this
something
story.
It's just so fun.
All the facets and all the little turns that you've had to go down. It's crazy.
Yeah. So
it's wild.
So, but delegating to people and letting go of parts and pieces of the business is really, I think, for an entrepreneur, somebody who's in control freak and is being driven by fear, which can be helpful, and at certain points it can be very destructive.
Yeah. I think of some of my early days of you and I working together. I don't know if you remember the little blip before I went off, and I was doing lower level accounting. This was a high school job. And there was, you and I just had a few interactions where like you heard a phone call that I took one time or something, and it was an upset customer on the line, and I don't think I handled it quite right or something. And
I let you know.
Yeah, you let me know.
Yeah, I can be pretty direct.
Yeah, pretty direct, which I really appreciate because I actually think, clarity is kindness.
Yeah.
But it's also something you've grown in your communication of you don't have to control everything
Right.
to get the best outcome.
Yep.
So it's both and.
Yep. So as you grow, as you want to grow, it kind of just, you got to kind of decide who you are as an entrepreneur. Are you going to be like more of a solopreneur, and
Yes.
you will control everything. You'll be able to do all the ordering. You'll be able to do all the, sales, all
the customers. Like that's a big thing too.
Yep.
When you were growing this business, I mean, in the last 5-6 years, it's changed. You don't know all of our clients.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild.
It's bizarre.
Because the first 15 years, you knew every single client.
People ask me sometimes right now, what projects you working on? I'm like, gosh, I don't know.
So many.
We're working on a pretty cool app where I can quickly, find out what jobs we got going on. So more to come on that, but that's part of our 20th anniversary.
Yeah, but that's a huge transition for us in the last 5 to 6 years of you letting go of all of that. And again, like you said, if you want to be a solopreneur and run your business and be in the day and today of everything, and you love that, and
there's not a better industry to be involved in if you want to be a solopreneur. So if you're out there and you're thinking about what do I want to do with my career, and you have any kind of hands-on ability, and so I'll speak to the younger generation. If you play video games all day long, you could probably figure out how to use a hammer and a skill saw and go create really cool stuff. Minecraft is amazing, right? Like kids love Minecraft. Like that's what we're doing, but we're doing it in the physical with hammers and nails and screw guns and nail guns. And like, we're getting ready to go out to JLC Live. See out there, whoever's going to come out to that. But JLC Live is like all the tools, and like, it's going to be so baller. You know, Aiden's going, Noah's going.
That's a convention that's happening. Journey of Light Construction hosts it.
Yeah. So that's another way we got to 20 years. We got to 20 years because I invested in education. We went to IBS early on. We did some of these things. We've hired coaches. These are all things that I think, especially if you want to grow and you don't have all the capacity. I don't have the capacity to do this. I needed a coach. What does a coach do? A coach watches what you're doing, and then they coach you. They don't do it for you. A lot of times when I hired my first consultant, I guess probably Sandler was really my first. Well, no, it was the E-Myth Mastery. E-Myth Mastery, Sandler sales training. I'll give you all my secrets. E-Myth Mastery, Sandler sales training. And then it was an independent, Sean McCadden. Not sure he's still doing it anymore, but, and then there was, after that was strategic coach.
Yes.
We invested in EOS. Actually, it was an EOS implementer. So we had an EOS implementer for 3 years. Then I joined strategic coach, and then our current business coach.
And then impact.
And then Dave. So that is a blueprint. If you want to know the blueprint for staying in business for 20 years, I would say you got to hire coaches. Like hands down, my number one, probably one of the bigger investments that I've made, and hands down, the number one reason you're sitting here with me, the number one reason Matthew is doing video for our company. Like he went to school to do video. Like he was going to be in Hollywood, and now he's working at a small to mid-sized remodeling company in Lansing, Michigan, creating content, doing HGTV style videos, producing his own episodes. Like, man, he's like a kid in a candy box. I mean, he just loves it, and when I'm around him, like it just makes me happy. I don't know how I got into this business where we're creating content, but like, but you know
Isabelle,
what?
How did we get here?
In a small way, it's part of the vision that I had early on.
It is.
Was to inspire people to be an inspiration. Like to me, that's part of who I am. And instead of fighting that, which resistance. Think about resistance. How much resistance I've had in this business over the last 20 years. The next 20 years, I'm not going to be as resistant as I was the first 20 years.
That's one thing you're not going
because
to
I
see
am going to live to
20
150, and I'm going to have to let go. And when I think about resistance, it's like fighting what is. It's like fighting against reality. If you have a customer that wants to back out of an agreement, you talk with them, but you don't have to lose sleep over it. If you have a customer that's just angry and mad and not
that's
happy.
A little easier said than done. Hey,
it's way easier said than done.
It's like I can think of one,
but we're talking about the 20th anniversary,
right.
And we're talking about how did we get here? We got here because I fought tooth and nail to make everything work. I bent over backwards, but I about killed myself along the way. As the business was growing, and I'm trying to manage all this stuff instead of maybe hiring an attorney to help us, work out a negotiation with somebody.
Yeah. You're trying to figure it all out at midnight, 2 a.m.
Figure it all out, having your professionals around you. That's another thing. So having a financial planner, having an accountant, having an attorney, somebody that can help you write your good agreements. And as you get into bigger jobs, you might have to have a different agreement. What other professionals that I'm missing? Insurance is a big one. So having some key professionals,
having your bench full.
Yeah. You want to surround yourself with professionals. I would say in that professional category, which I think most entrepreneurs skip, is having a coach. I would say having a great coach that will coach you. They're not going to help you do the job. They're going to guide you to the resources, and you're going to do the work. A great coach will ask good questions. A great coach will let you respond with what you're going to do. And then they may suggest other things, but they'll never tell you what to do. So if you're looking for a good coach, that's what I would say look for. And that is a blueprint for being in business for 20 years.
That's good. Well, let's talk about, you teased it, the next 20 years. We don't have to get into all of that, but what are some of the things that as a business we're going to be doing? I mean, both to celebrate this 20th year and then looking forward.
Well, I mean, we've grown significantly. We are in 2 locations now, here in Okemos, Michigan, and we're up in Boyne City.
That's a whole wild story too of why we're in Boyne City and the family connections there. Yep. In northern Michigan, and we a lot of our clients downstate here have vacation homes in Michigan. Everybody has a vacation home up north. Yeah. There's a lot of water up north, so higher end exterior, interior projects. People love their cottages because it's their safe place. They get out of the day-to-day life, the work week, and they head up north, and it's beautiful up north. Northern Michigan, just a big shout out to Pure Michigan. Is the Pure Michigan campaign still on? We're going to make a shout out today. Pure Michigan. Let's go. Northern Michigan. If you haven't been to Michigan, because this podcast is nationwide at this point, right? Is this nationwide, Matthew? Sure. How many followers we got? Michigan is in a beautiful state. And actually, I think one of the things that we've seen was during COVID, because everybody started working remote, more people like from Texas and southern states started buying places up north and gobbling up more of the real estate. Real estate prices in northern Michigan have gone through the roof. People can't afford to live up there because everybody's buying up houses and wants to live in northern Michigan. So come visit Michigan. We have an office in Boyne. We have our own in-house, marketing team. You're expanding that. We're going to be adding additional videographers this year. We're going to be Matthew, our current videographer, is going to be our lead videographer. I'm not sure exactly the title, but that's just a new promotion that just happened. So he's going to be taking more stuff off of your plate. He's going to be taking a bigger role and really developing the show and taking that to the next level. I would say that's something we're going to really develop, is the TV show, making that more engaging.
Well, this is my 20th anniversary. Oh, okay. You asked me to tell you. Now you're.
I did, but you weren't. You were going into the weeds again.
I'm going into the weeds.
Pulling you out of the weeds.
Yeah.
What's the vision for the next 20 years?
So we're gonna continue to build the media side of our business, educating people. Yeah. Telling the story. a big thing that we've done in our community is give back. We've gotten involved in organizations like Mikey 23, Ellie's Place, Building 21.
Yeah, there's a lot of others.
You could name a whole bunch of others, but yeah, that's kind of going into the weeds. But we're going to stay involved in our community, riding for success.
We're going to give back.
Ryan Kramer, man, I ran across Ryan Kramer. So you want to talk about like 20 years in business and the things that start happening as you stick it out. Like, I just want to look at entrepreneurs right now and just say, like, there is a lot of difficult days being an entrepreneur. From having to let somebody go or losing a deal or not knowing how you're going to make payroll on Friday, like that can be so stressful, but just don't quit. Like that's how you get to 20 years. Don't quit. Don't give up. Show back up the next day. Make your bed in the morning, make your bed every day before you go to bed at night. Like, 3 wins. What are 3 wins? That's how you stay in business for 20 years. You get up in the morning before you take 1 foot out of bed and get on the ground. You ground into what are your 5 gratitudes for the day? Like, what are 5 things you're grateful for? Your family, your business, your health, like how many times am I in such resistance about what is, and yet I'm healthy and, I have an amazing family and the business is growing, maybe it's not where I want it to be, but it's growing. It's doing beautiful things. We're going to continue to transform places that people live into homes they love. The second part is transforming places people live into places that people love. When I think about the next 20 years, I think about the people on our team and helping those people fall more in love with themselves. Like to me, this journey to 20 years has been about building something out here. And where I sit here today, I've realized along the way that because of some of my deep trauma, I've been trying to become something to be something. The next 20 years is about me going home to myself and being at home with who I am. And as I do that, I can help other people on our team do that. And as we do that, man, we just love what we do. And I don't really care what it is we do. We're just in love because we're in love with ourselves. We're in love with the people that we're working for. We're in love with the industry. We're in love with the tools that we get to buy. We're in love with the project that we just completed. Like, look at this space we're sitting in right here in Williamson, Michigan. I mean, this was owned by, a famous wrestler. And this family took this place and turned this into this amazing space. We had our winter party this year. What's the next 20 years going to look like? When we had our winter party here this year, I mean, it was magical. It was amazing, and it's really about celebrating the people in the room that have made such huge jumps in their personal and professional lives, to impact families, to impact lives, to see people make growth steps, to see people go through dark times and come out of those dark times. That's what the next 20 years is going to be.